So we are starting another section today. We're talking about special right triangles. Why a right triangle is special, we'll see in just a little bit. It really has to do with its angle measurements, and those angle measurements lead us to having two theorems that we can use for the side lengths. So our first special triangle that we'll talk about is we call it a 45, 45, 90 triangle, which means it has two 45-degree angles and one 90-degree angle. We are able to figure out, based on the angle measurements of each side, that, well, our two legs of our triangle, so it would be x and x, our two legs in a 45, 45, 90 triangle are going to be congruent. So these two legs are congruent to each other. And then we were to try to find the length of our hypotenuse. All we'd have to take is the leg, so length of the leg, times the square root of 2. So that's why over here we have x square root of 2. This is true for all 45, 45, 90 triangles. So depending on what information that we're given, we can find all the other sides of this triangle. So for in example A, 1A, we'll just jump right into our example. We know that our legs are going to be adjacent to the right angle, and our hypotenuse is the one opposite of it, so the one across. So no, this is our hypotenuse, this is our leg, and this is another leg. And the formula in that last theorem, it said that, well, if we take the hypotenuse, that's equal to the length of the leg times the square root of 2. So we have some information that's given to us. We know our hypotenuse. We gave it a variable length x. So you have x is equal to the length of our leg, which is 8. And then square root of 2, and this is times. When you're multiplying a whole number and a radical, the number that's on the outside stays on the outside. You don't want to mix numbers on the outside of the radical with numbers on the inside of the radical. So you just stay like this. This is the length of our hypotenuse. This is what x is. For example, B, now we're given that our hypotenuse is 5 square root of 2, and we're given the two legs are length x. And they're both the same because it's a 45, 45, 90. That's always going to be true. For 45, 45, 90, your two legs will always be the same. So using the same formula that our hypotenuse is equal to our leg times the square root of 2. So 5 square root of 2 is equal to x times the square root of 2. And if you were going to do this by solving, you would divide each side by the square root of 2. Because then we have just x left on one side. And then on the other side, we would have a 5. Because the square roots of 2 simplify to positive 1. So we'll have a 5 is equal to x, or x is equal to 5. 45, 45, 45, 45. I keep saying an extra 45 whenever I do it. 45, 45, 90 triangles are the simpler one out of the two. You'll see in the 30, 60, 90, there's a little bit more you have to remember. So in a 30, 60, 90, the hypotenuse is twice as long as the shorter leg, and the longer leg is a square root of 3 times as long as the shorter leg. So that's these two formulas here just put into words. Our hypotenuse, which would be our 2x value here, is equal to the shorter leg times 2. I know that this has to be the shorter leg because the shortest leg is always going to be across from the smallest angle, the opposite angle. So 30 is our smallest angle measurement. Kaylee, did you really just throw candy right now? Can you pick it up for me? Can you go and pick it up for me? You got to find it then. Well, you can find it during work time then. We'll work on that. So our shorter leg is going to be X. So this is our short leg. And then X squared of 3, this is our long leg. And we can use our longer leg is equal to our shorter leg times the square root of 3. So I'm going to kind of keep this up there in frame and also do number 2. So we're trying to find the value of X and Y. What I like to do is just label which is my short leg, my long leg, and my hypotenuse. I know this is my short, this is my long, and this is my hypotenuse. All right, first thing I'm going to do is solve for let's figure out what X is, my shorter leg. Because that's what I'm given. That's one thing I'm given for sure. I know that my long leg is equal to 9. So you have 9 is equal to, that's our shorter leg, which we said was X, times the square root of 3. All right, so then we have to go through solving for X. So we have to divide by a square root of 3 on both sides, because that is going to leave us with just X. So we're left with X is equal to 9 divided by the square root of 3. Got ahead of myself. And we have to, before we do this, we have to do a process that you may remember from Algebra 1. It's not a fun process. It's kind of tedious. It's called rationalizing the denominator. So what it means is just getting that square root back to the top so we can have a whole number on the bottom. Because this 9 is a nice whole number on the top, and the square root of 3 is a repeating decimal. So that's going to be, we never want a repeating decimal on our denominator. So what we have to do to rationalize the denominator, I'm going to do it off to the side here. It's a little algebra review. If we have 9 over the square root of 3, we're going to multiply by 1, but in a sneaky way. So to get rid of the square root of 3 on the denominator, we have to multiply the top and the bottom by the square root of 3. Square root of 3 over square root of 3, that's equal to 1. So that's why I said we're multiplying by 1, but in a sneaky way. A way that's going to change our expression for us. So like I said, when you multiply, you don't mix outside and inside numbers. When you multiply 2 square roots together, you multiply the numbers on the inside together. So this will be square root of 3 times the square root of 3. That's the square root of 9. And then simplifying the square root of 9, that's a whole number, that's 3. So we have 9 square root of 3 over 3. And then we'll always just want to try to reduce wherever we can. If I have a 9 divided by 3, that can simplify. So this is equal to 3 square root of 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. That's why this 3 is there. So this, long story short, is our value for X. 3 square root of 3. That's a nice number. It's compact. It looks good. And we have the same. We kept the mathematical value the same. So this is, how about instead of writing 9 square root of 3 for X, we put 3 square root of 3. No. Because the square root of 3 is not half of 3. It's a number multiplied by itself that gets you to 3. Okay. Last piece on this problem, we had to go back and solve for our hypotenuse, which was just our shorter leg times 2. So y is equal to 3 square root of 3 times 2. In a problem like this, we multiply our outside numbers together. So y is equal to 3 times 2 is 6. So we have 6 over 3 as our answer for y. And there's our answer for x too. Why I show you how to rationalize the denominator, I really haven't messed around with it yet. You can try putting this on big ideas. 9 divided by the square root of 3. I don't know if it'll work. You can always try it, but I'm not exactly sure if it'll take it. All right, so let's apply this to a word problem now. We have this road sign. It's an equilateral triangle made up of, and we see here kind of how it's broken down into 2 30, 60, 90 triangles. And we're trying to find the area of this. So we have to remember one thing to start. The area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 of the base times the height. And we don't know what h is, so we have to solve for h. So in this triangle we have here, just separating it off of the picture, 36, and this is side h. And this is our 60-degree angle in the corner. This is our 90-degree angle. We know that this side, side h, has to be our long side. Side 18 has to be our short side, and this has to be our hypotenuse. So we're solving for our long side, so we can use our formula that we were given. Going back, your long side is equal to your shorter leg times the square root of 3. So h, you could say h is equal to 18 times the square root of 3. So we have a value of h right off the bat. Then we can fit that into our formula here. So area is equal to 1/2 of our base of our triangle, which would be 36 because 18 plus 18. So it's 36 times 18 square root of 3. If you just want to simplify a little bit, this will be 18 times 18 square root of 3. And then if you simplify another step, you get 324 square root of 3. So that would be your exact answer. Your kind of approximated answer would be 561.18 inches squared. Since we're being good about units. There we go. Do one more, which is now a word problem with 45, 45, 90s. So if you feel like you can go ahead and just crank this out on your own, go for it. Otherwise, just listen. Sometimes it's better just to go for it, because just because you can copy down what I'm saying doesn't mean you're actually understanding what's going on. So a tipping platform is a ramp used to unload trucks. How high is the end of the 80-foot ramp when the tipping angle is 45 degrees? So if we want to draw our own triangle, which you know I love drawing pictures, it's an 80-foot ramp. So the base is 80 feet. We know it's tipping at a 45-degree angle. What is the value of our height, so h, when it's at 45? Well, using our 45-45 theorem, we know that our two legs have to be the same. We know that if this is a 45-45 90, our h should be equal to 80 feet as well from the first theorem that we talked about. Because in a 45-45 90, we have this. This is what was on the front page. X times square root of 2. So we could even go to find the length. So it'd be 80 square root of 2 for the length of our hypotenuse. Which makes me consider now, like, this isn't the best picture, so like, I don't know really when they were writing this problem, if the 80 feet correspond to like the length of here, or like this ramp as being 80 feet. I don't really know what it's, because this would imply that the space angle is there. I don't know, I'm overthinking it, whichever way it would be. If this was, we're talking about, this is 80 feet, you could say, well, 80 feet is equal to x, or h times the square root of 2. You can go from there. But here's your, before you jump into your practice, here's your kind of a second to last reminder. Chapter 8 stuff due tomorrow, 3:05 p.m. Getting locked, goes in as zeros. Right after that, whatever your grade is, your family's getting an email with that grade on it. And conferences are next week too, and the week after. So there's that too. I don't know if anyone's parents in here have signed up yet, but sweet. Practice is 9.2. There's 11 or 12 problems. The answer key is posted, so you can check your work as you go. Let me know if you have questions. If you finish early, make sure, check Infinite Campus, check your big ideas, make sure everything is good to go. I'm not letting you use that. I don't think you deserve it.